I'm drawn to share a story around the importance of learning from our mistakes and through making them. So the phrase, fail your way forward, springs to my mind. And hey, if we're in this for the long run, meaning living life fully and consciously, then we better accept the wobbles within the marathon. And this module also aims to provide you with a rich approach on how to effectively self-reflect and evaluate your shadow. Shadow work can be an amazing tool for improving the performance of showing up to life. Claiming the disowned parts to self is a reflection that can help process and heal trauma. By helping you understand your experiences and feelings, it can also help you develop resilience, self-awareness, and emotional well-being. So you see, when living in trauma, we aren't able to hone in on how far we've come, or where we're even going, or who we even are. We're just flat out struggling to stay in the moment and in pure survival mode. So let me take your mind to another focus as I share. And I've called my story the snowflake. And you may recognise the term snowflake in its derogatory slang. So it means a person with an inflated sense of uniqueness and entitlement, and they may be unable to deal with opposing opinions, mainly from feeling offended. They can also feel defensive by taking things so personally. So, going back to the part about making mistakes, the resolve from the mistake is in the recognition that we have made a spiritual bypass. So by avoiding our negative beliefs, as opposed to dealing with them, we are mistakenly missing that there's always two sides to every story. And we can call this shadow work, non-duality, and the paradox to living. So I believe I'm around 5 or 6, and to feel into this more, it's important I describe the home. I think it will help me capture the lesson I want to share in its entirety. You see, my family and I used to move home a lot. So my past childhood way of forming short-term bonds may have shaped the way I'm able to connect attentively for segmented periods of time without attaching to anyone's energy. So this side of the coin gives me the gift to offer high relational depth. The other side of the coin is that it would also present challenges in the way I connect more intimately on a more personal level. So going back to the home, I want to describe a bedroom that I used to share. It featured cute little Care Bear wallpaper. And at some point in this course, I will also explore the power of visualization and the way we can embed patterns into our neurology. But can you imagine how this may have aided my childhood brain to care, to absorb kindness into my consciousness? The Care Bears are a group of fictional characters who represent caring and sharing and childlike innocence. So their adventures take place in the magical land of Care-a-Lot. They teach children valuable lessons, So let me mention too that with caring, if given too much, can emotionally exhaust you. It can cause burnout and a lack of healthy boundaries. And this is the bit about the wounded healer. It can potentially hinder the growth of those you care for by enabling them or creating codependent relationships. And in the same home, I was gifted my very own Bible, which I later decided to decorate. So in hindsight, I can now look back and see that I was being demonstrated to make learning fun. I was given a selection of stickers and I chose rainbows. It brightened up the front cover so nicely. And it felt so magical for me to see how each coloured stripe reflected light that bounced off in different directions. It really did feel so special. On a really trippy level, perhaps it allowed me to read the Bible on a more 5D conscious level. This home held another distinct experience. It was the place I was to first play in snow. And whilst the Bible was the structure and the stickers brought this fun, the snow was the fun and the lesson was the structure. So what was the lesson? Not to stay out in the cold for too long, meaning don't ignore or neglect. So let me explain this metaphor in more context. This is the bit about needing to make mistakes. So I was told, or more warned, do not stay outside for too long. And of course, I didn't understand how the cold weather could impact the body quite significantly. So my innocent child, I'll call it naivety, needed to find out the hard way, or was it just the right way? Needless to say, I ignored the strong advice and I stayed out for a lot longer. I just wanted to keep creating this snowman, and it was so fun seeing how large I could make him. It was fascinating to see something start off so small and transform into something significantly grandiose and big. So consequently, from quite literally making a mountain of a molehill, I was sick for some time. And ironically, I've often helped my clients to discover the ways they've made things more complicated and bigger for themselves. And we enlarge these tasks far more than we need to. And often this comes from the need to be perfect. We can often do this to mask our internal view of feeling inadequate. But when we play, our imaginations have more of a sense of carefree engagement, and we're experiencing amusement and pleasure in a light-hearted way. And the trick is to care in the places that are important and to relax in the areas that require attention. And this is touched upon in the previous video around collapsing time. So as found in my snowman experience, it's useful to gauge when to stop. It can also be useful to take incremental breaks. Focus cut was great advice I received from a fellow medium who was mentoring me with psychic work at the time. So the only way to get this aligned synergy is to feel it out and to experiment and get some things wrong. It also shows the universe that you are invested, you're trying and you're genuine. The creator then can trust your capabilities of looking after what you've already got and what you're looking for. When you try to cover up imperfections, others around you may feel suspicious and robbed. You steal their energy by wasting their time trying to convince them of your value, as opposed to offering value. So whilst we're on the subject of time and energy, it makes me think of Albert Einstein when he said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." Well, imagine my soul had the teacher in me already all mapped out. So my inner spirit innately knew she was to discover experiences and understand different pain points. See, vulnerability is in the wound, but it's also in our intuition. Because intuition are the lessons we've learned and picked up along the way that we're not completely conscious of, but they're stored in our nervous system, so you feel it in your body. The more unconscious you are of the lessons, which is repression, the deeper they are pushed into the nervous system. Wisdom and experience is a result of patterns being repeated in your life. They are also understood in the way you feel. That is why when my clients present wisdom disguised in their challenge, I may often dispute it by responding to them, asking them permission for me to feel into that space to get the truth. So they say in sales, you have to hear something around 7 times before you're sold into that product. So that might bring a bit of compassion when a mistake has to be made several times before we learn. And this module, as with all the others, holds many dimensions. Firstly, there's the metaphysical. Don't be left in the cold, meaning don't isolate yourself. It will lead you to feel unimportant due to feeling excluded from a group, activity, or situation. And I can relate to this challenge from when moving home and not really feeling I had a place to form too deep a friendship as a child. A lot of us have lost someone close to us in some kind of capacity, so it's normal to put the shutters up in an attempt to minimize the pain. And we think we're protecting ourselves, but inadvertently, you're pushing opportunities and loved ones away. So again, making mistakes could be in the learning of balance. The balance in comfort from your inner world to not need distractions, yet connecting with others so it's not all about the self. I think it's in the language we use. Also, how we deal with time. What we do or do not say holds strong currents of energy, and so does our time. Can we learn to fill the blanks more in how we communicate? Equally, can we hold our tongue when words are not necessary? So the thing is, when filling the blanks, it's important to take ownership with how we are feeling. Don't punish others with your mistakes. We can so easily project our judgments onto others, especially if these judgments aren't properly processed. So they say, never judge a book by its cover. So perhaps instead, cover your book with rainbows. So you've heard the phrase, not being perfect is not the end. So instead of looking for the pot of gold, we marry the process of reaching our dreams through caring, like the Care Bears, who will beam their light onto others' darkness. So shine, shine, shine through the unique being of light that is you. And I hope I can encourage you that making mistakes provide opportunities for growth and change. And as you may agree, change can feel scary, but it's all we hope for, we strive for, and wish for on many levels.